Well, a somatic leadership coach basically approaches leadership training, executive coaching from a body-based perspective. Most traditional leadership kind of leaves out uh, the body and understanding stress responses and your nervous system and
Hmm.
your body language and all of those things. Now it's really about understanding that when I am keeping my frequency right. And when I'm on the right frequency, things have a way of being smoother. There's less friction, right? Because there's not this like struggle energy with
Yes,
everything. If I am doing the
yes.
things that I know that I need to do to make sure I'm operating at my highest frequency, it makes things much easier.
Greetings. I am Erin Patton, also known as Master L, and welcome to today's episode of the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I am just so excited to be recording today because I haven't recorded my podcast in a long time. And I'm so honored to have a special guest with me today. But before I introduce her, I really want to invite you all to follow me across social media at I am Erin Patton. And of course, subscribe to this podcast and share this beautiful message with a friend because today's episode is going to rock your world. I promise you. And without further ado, I really want to welcome Lily Shepard. She is a somatic leadership coach. And I really want her to first start by telling us, what does a somatic leadership coach mean? What do you do? Like, it's just such a beautiful title.
Thank you. Well, a somatic leadership coach basically approaches leadership training, executive coaching from a body-based perspective. Most traditional leadership kind of leaves out uh, the body and understanding stress responses and your nervous system and
Hmm.
your body language and all of those things. So I use the tools that I have from my training in dance and yoga and breath work, somatic stress relief, and I bring that all to leaders who are ready to go to the next level and also ready to kind of thrive at the level that they're currently at.
Yeah. And I, first of all, 100% am aligned with that. And one thing that you and I have talked about too is just how do we get people on board with this type of work? Because everyone wants to be at the next level. Everyone wants to make more money. Everyone wants to have a better life, but we really don't understand what it takes to get to that next level. So I really would love to understand kind of like your journey in creating this somatic practice and even bringing it out to the world. Like, how did you know this was important for you?
Well, I found that out living life, right? I have always been a dancer. So, a little bit about my background. I have a background in dance. I've been dancing since I was 4 years old. It's what I studied in high school and college. I danced professionally in Las Vegas, all of these things. And I was living in Las Vegas. I got married and summarize this. I was going through a
Yeah.
divorce, right? I was going through a divorce and I was at the lowest point I had ever been in my life. And I realized that I had movement was very familiar to me, but there came a point where I was trying all of these things to feel better, right? I was affirming and I was doing talk therapy and nothing was helping to like change my state of being. I had a lot
Hmm.
that I had to do right as a result of this. I mean I was in foreclosure. I had to file for bankruptcy. I had
Oh,
to
wow.
figure out a lot about my life. And
Right.
none of the things that I was doing was kind of helping me change my state of being enough to do that. And
Right.
I just had a moment where spirit said to me, just move. And it was so interesting because the message wasn't just dance. I knew how to dance, right? I have dance training, but it was more so like move. And so I began to move in all these different ways in my room and it was cathartic and it was I had never experienced that level of transformation before in my life. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, this actually helped me build the capacity to be who I need to be to move into this next phase of my life. And I thought, people need this, because, you know, it didn't come to me in the sense of a business at that time, right? It was just like, this is something that I want to share. This did something for me and I want to share it with other people. But
Right.
as time went on and I started to kind of add things to my toolbox of how I would facilitate that, and just got deeper into the study of psychology, of somatics, of confidence, of changing your state of being and what that means physically, it became clear to me that people could use this work. They didn't have to be like at devastation level the way that I
Right.
was, right?
Right.
They could use it to actually, as empowered as I felt to move forward in my life, I knew that people could use that. And as far as leaders and leadership, entrepreneurs, primarily who I work with, that just came as a result of who was gravitating towards the work and who was getting a different understanding, like, wow, I didn't know that I needed this until I knew that I needed this. Right. And
Right.
who was coming under the premise of, yeah, I know I need to move my body and I need to get moving. And I know all the reasons why that's good from a health perspective, but it's actually helped me change my identity. It's helped me shift
Ooh,
my identity.
I love that.
And that's how it began.
I love that so much because it's in the identity shift where we really start to see who we are. You know, when we get to that next level and then you can look at kind of the skin that you're shedding and kind of where you came from and what got you there, the decisions that got you there, then you're able to really kind of move forward in peace. And I'm really curious, like you're a dancer, like you were a trained dancer, you've been dancing since you were 4 years old, and then you say one day you just decided to move. Like, what did that movement look like? Because it's just
Crazy. It looked crazy. And that's when I realized how much I was performing and not
Ooh,
embodying,
yes.
because it looked crazy, and I realized how much looking crazy scared me.
Ooh.
I could perform to a T, put me on
Mm-hmm.
stage, and I know what to do. I know
Mm-hmm.
you would never believe anything was ever amiss in my life. And I
That
was
part.
I was living like that, right? I was
Yes.
strong and I was coming out, and this is not, I mean, it's funny because looking back, everyone was so proud of me, I guess, of how I was coping with everything. On the exterior, I really presented as strong, resilient, I got this, right? But inside, I was really crumbling. And I
Yeah.
think it was my dance and stage training that allowed me to be able to walk through the world the way that I did. But
Yep.
inside, I was really messed up. And so
Yes.
my movement looked not like nothing I'd ever experienced before because I was not being directed.
Yes.
I knew movements that looked good and felt good. It was none of that. It was just very raw, very primal. I like rolled on the floor. I jumped. I was listening to drums. I put on just all different types of music. I just put on shuffle, and I just moved. And sometimes dance
Mm.
movements would come out. Sometimes I paced around in my room. There was no like dance quality to my movement. Sometimes
Mm.
I was just doing this. I was just flinging my hands. I was just doing this movement that was like, what is this? But it felt so good and it shifted
Mm.
something. And so it was just such a awakening experience for me because I had never moved like that. One, not directed, not with anything in mind that I was trying to portray to an audience, um, not in the presence of an audience, right? And so it was very, very different, but it changed my life.
This resonates with me so deeply because I too grew up dancing, trained dancing, and when I started my Tai Chi practice, which was like in the kind of midst of my awakening, I remember moving and they actually had an exercise for us where we had to